Morgan Chase. This bank has invested in the climate crisis more than any other bank in the world. So that just caught our attention right off the bat. This is a climate justice issue, and we're going to go more into that. But we researched this starting in the summer. Back in the summer, and most of the media outlets and most of the way that was presented was that they were just letting very, very kindly letting us know that this was going to happen. When we're in right now, it is not at all. For this to happen, it has to go through at least 6 regulatory agencies. So 6 bodies of government have to approve of this before we accept this as a done deal. And Dominic is going to go into that right now.
So I was trying to write really fast, but so to outline this issue in the best way possible, we kind of wanted to break it down into 3 levels. So when there is a bank or any sort of company that wants to buy an energy company or a utility company on this scale, it has to go through 3 levels. It has to go through the federal level. It has to go to the state level, and it has to go to the local level. On the federal level, agency that has to go through. One is called the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. They filed an application for this back in June. And we're very fortunate to have an ally in an organization called Public Citizen. And was one of our panelists yesterday at our meeting that we had yesterday. And he is part of that watchdog group that keeps an eye out on the federal level for these kinds of stuff. We conducted a meeting with him like a podcast, and he said in the 3 years that he's been doing these kinds of services, he has never seen a deal as dark and convoluted as this one. He has said they cannot, in their application, answer even the most basic of information like who owns your company. He says they only name 3 people who work for the entire IIF system and all their shell companies, right? And each one of them carries a JP Morgan Chase card. So they were not even willing to talk about their affiliation or their association with JP Morgan in their Federal Energy Regulatory Commission application. And they have to do that on a national level. And because they didn't do that, and because we put up pressure, because we have this organization, in early December, the FERC denied their application, and found it insufficient for those reasons that we stated. So that was a victory for us. And from that, we had to admit, finally admitted that they are an affiliate of JP Morgan, and they only take financial advice from them. So that's what happened on the first level, and we're going to get to how problematic it was. Next, we have the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, which you're wondering why is that even have anything to do with the sale? It's because part of where electricity is generated is a nuclear reactor facility, I think in New Mexico, and our Paso Electric gets some of their electricity from that agency's approval as well. And we actually had our state senator, Jose Rodriguez, help us file as intervener with this agency as well. Then it has to go to state level, right? And I forgot this one. But anyway, so they on Texas level, they have to go to the Public Utility Commission of Texas, or otherwise known as the PUC. And this is the only agency where they actually got approval. I want to say it's a done deal. They want to say that the sale is done. That is one of the biggest fallacies and the biggest disinformation campaigns that out there. It's a done deal. It's not the fight. It's not organizing around. It's not organizing meetings like this and educate yourself because it's over. Right? And that's just simply not true. That's the only agency where they have approval. The New Mexico PRC, what is this? Public Regulatory Commission. So that they have also not approved yet, and we're trying to figure out when they're going to have this proposed sale on their agenda, so we can also go and submit some but once you also have. On the low level, we actually have a Paso City Council, who is the only sort of local agreement. And the franchise agreement, how come it's like this? Okay, because I was like, what the heck is the franchise agreement? But franchise agreement is basically the ability for El Paso Electric to use the city's name as part of their company, right? And that is the sword that we have as a local, as our local power. We are the drivers in that seat, in that agreement. We get to decide whether it happens or not. And if this franchise agreement doesn't go through, the deal as is does not go through. And that is our biggest tool, that is our biggest weapon. But we're going to get into kind of how dark that is, okay? So, anybody have questions on this so far? That's a very good question. From my mom, my bias. But yes, that's kind of what the more of a question on strategy and how we go about bringing the change, because we have done civil disobedience and we have done also the lobbying and the presenting of information, right? But actually, it kind of touches on something that where we tried that. So when City Council was first trying to get this law approved through the PUC. That's when we met with them before they officially voted in that agreement, in that agency. And we were able to convince them that they open up this, be prosecution without doing proper information, without doing our proper due diligence to find out what all of our options are. One of the things we were advocating for was a feasibility study, which is basically for us to study all of our options. Maybe El Paso can purchase El Paso Electric, and we can have a community ownership. Yes. Target direct.
Well, I guess more of electric and use a franchise agreement allowing El Paso Electric to use the city's name to the electric company, not an El Paso Big corporation.
No, it is not. Currently, right now, it's a publicly traded company, and by that, it just means we have it's a public, accessible. We can request information to public agencies, but it's a lot of it is still not even owned by people from El Paso currently. So right now, it's going from a publicly traded utility to a privately traded utility. Now we have less access. Yes.
So it's basically owned by other mutual funds right now, okay, and investors, El Paso Electric. And the franchise fee is actually not for the name, but for the infrastructure, the use of the streets, just like that. You know, but your ability to, yes.
El Paso
Yes.
services.
Okay. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, basically, I just wanted to clarify that. The franchise agreement is basically a fee that's built onto all rates you're paying. So every time you pay $1, the city gets 5 cents. And interestingly enough, that franchise fee used to be 3 cents per dollar. And a year ago, maybe it went up to 4 cents, and then recently it went up to 5 cents. So the amount the city gets out of the franchise agreement is significant. It's literally tens of millions of dollars every year. So the question starts becoming, is it really in the interest of the city to own the utility when they can just benefit from somebody else charging us or even overcharging us? So it's not in our interest to have the city outsource the operation of the utility. It's more in our interest to municipalize, because then we can put the pressure on at city council level.
So what is that money that the city's getting? What is done with that money?
It goes into their general fund and they can do what they wish with it.
Yeah, and one of the talking points that has been proposed both by JP Morgan and the current mayor, Margo, is like, oh, we can't possibly question JP Morgan coming into our backyard. Why? Because then we won't have a franchise fee. And the implication being that the franchise fee is paid by the profits of these corporations. But as Robert just explained, we pay that. It's a tax placed on us, so we are the ones that pay the franchise fee. That's just a talking point that they use.
So, I'm sorry, Paso benefits from this franchise fee? Would you want that?
It's to be negotiated, right? It's something that we can decide how much, decide what. And most of the time when other cities are negotiating an agreement, they hire experts, attorneys who are really familiar with like the power of a franchise agreement and how to do the best for your public goods, your public service. But that's something that we haven't done. And so that's one of our big messages when we went to City Council and we tried to present information was we need a feasibility study. We ourselves are just a group of young volunteers who are not experts, but we're all saying that they are not experts as well, and they need to hire the proper people to do a feasibility study. It could be that, it's actually not in Paso's best interest to be the sole owners. Maybe it is better to pair up with somebody like Massachusetts, or there's all these kinds of options that we have, and we will never know what the true best deal is if we do not do our due diligence. So we're going to kind of get into that part as well. But I want to talk about how they actually got the only approval from the only agency so far, and it was through a really slide process. So before they were to vote on the agreement in that agency, we met with council. We were able to make the case that we don't have enough information. We need to ask for a motion for extension for 30 days so we can get more answers to our questions so this process can be transparent. And we were victorious in that. We were able to convince the majority of council to vote in favor of a motion up for extension. And from there, the city attorney and the city attorney's offices and everybody outside council that they hired to represent us are supposed to go to that PUC meeting in Austin and argue our motion for extension for 30 days. Nobody from the city showed up to represent us. And that is not by accident. That is not a bug, it is a feature, right? It is not benign neglect, it is on purpose. And because nobody was there to represent El Paso at the PUC hearing, the commissioner asked, is anybody there? Wow, I'm surprised nobody's here. Kind of like, why is nobody here? And then she returned to the representatives IIF and Sun Jupiter and asked them, well, what is it? What's the status of you in the city? And they, of course, said, okay, everything's going great. Not that they were asking a question, not that they asked for a motion for extension, none of this. And so that is negligence, and we're going to kind of break down into problem, cause, and solution. So I think that's a perfect segue. So that's the only agency where they have gotten approval, and they got it by really through the table kind of corrupt way. Yes?
Not everybody knows about Sun Jupiter and IIF.
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into all the shell companies because then that's like a little rabbit hole of like who owns what. That's the information we don't know, right? But that kind of is a perfect segue into like what the problem is and why we created our manifesto. So we see this as having two main kind of components to it. So the climate injustice and financial injustice. So we created an energy manifesto which really kind of breaks down the talking points. And so I want to kind of toss the mic over to, this is where I feel like we can really tap into our experts to talk about the financial injustice and how this is a recurring theme with a lot of our bad act here. So I'll pass it over to who wants to speak first on, or can I see that? Yeah. First? Sorry. So we talked about private equity funds, right? So if you all can kind of talk about why private equity is not the model for an energy company like El Paso Electric and all of the associated problems with that. Let's start with you, bro. Yeah.
So private equity fund is similar to what we have right now, which is what we have right now is a publicly traded corporation.
still a for-profit entity, but a private equity fund is particularly dangerous and exploitative. So I want to go directly into the example that happened just east of where we are right now in around Fort Worth, in the Dallas area. There was an energy utility there that was bought out by a private equity fund, like we are in the potential of having. And it was a $40 billion buyout. Ours is a $4.3 billion buyout, but that ended in complete disaster. It was bankrupt in less than 2 years, right, Dominic?
In less than 8 years.
Less than 8 years it went bankrupt. And it was the worst, it was the second worst bankruptcy in United States history. It was second only to Enron. So what happened to that community when it went bankrupt? The owners of the stock ended up fine. Nothing happened to them. They went away with billions of dollars with profits as if nothing happened. It actually benefited them more. But the people there had to deal with the bankruptcy. The people that lived there, the community, actually had to deal with this bankruptcy. And so they had to suffer through that. And in that area, they did have some, it's not like here where there's a monopoly of electricity. Over there, it comes through different energy markets. So some of them are actually publicly owned. And so they were less vulnerable to that bankruptcy than we are. We are a lot more vulnerable than they are. And we see what happens when private equity fund uses its exploitative financial structures and instruments to make profit. It's designed to collect debt and sell. And that's just what private equity fund is. But the status quo isn't perfect either. The status quo is still something that needs to be changed. And that's something that El Paso has been doing, fighting the status quo of El Paso Electric. So do you guys want to talk a little bit about the rate case? Yeah.
So, just to talk a little bit about rate cases and what goes on with the current utility. We have been involved in several rate cases over the last nearly 10 years now. Blanca and I were among the first families in town to put solar on our homes. We chose to do that because we realized what was happening with our earth and we needed to take better care of it. And we also realized that we had the wherewithal to do it. And the only way you drive market prices down on solar, somebody has to step out there and start fighting. You know, the more production there is, the more prices drop. And so we went out there and did it. But very quickly, I mean within months, El Paso Electric took a very aggressive approach to the people in the town who were putting solar on their homes. They determined to start calling us, names and saying that we were taking from the poor people of the community, and it was so ridiculous because, I mean, who are we talking about? El Paso Electric calling us, the people who are taking from everybody else. So what we realized is we weren't dealing with somebody who was really beholden to anybody. But we had a bit of power. We could go to city council, we could put up a ruckus. And we could let people know that what was happening was not right. And we had a city council at the time that actually listened to us. And it didn't hurt also that earlier that year, just maybe a month or two before, we had this terrible freeze and El Paso Electric's utility just fell apart. Okay? And so the city council was already upset with El Paso Electric. So they came down and sided with us. As a result of this, we got something that's very unique in Texas. Senator Rodriguez backed us in the proposal and an amendment to state law to put net metering in El Paso. El Paso is the only city in the state that has net metering with the utility of this structure. And that's because of the efforts that a number of people put into that. There were about 50 families at the time who were involved. And I think over the years, it's been rate case after rate case. You've heard it, those bad solar people, We're just trying to save the earth. We see a utility that's trying to build more natural gas generators. They're mining the water out of the ground over and over and over again. This is a vicious cycle. 4 rate cases now. So, and they still haven't given up. Every time they're going to come back with a deal, and I hate to say this, I'm going a little long-winded, but you erase the Public Utility Commission. Dominic here, smart young man, I like being around the youth of El Paso. You did well. So, the Public Utility Commission is the one entity that has basically endorsed this deal so far. They were never our friend with this processes. The Public Utility Commission looks out after these industries. They're not there for the citizens of this state. They're there basically because they have a few regulated utilities that they have to govern. In the rest of Texas, in our Public Utility Commission doesn't have a role because they have a market and a market vehicle to basically make sure that it's all managed well. So I think they see municipalization and markets as basically their demise. Public Utility Commission is going, yes, they started with this first because it benefits them.
I just wanted to add on that, the commissioners are appointed. So they're not elected, they're appointed. And usually they come from the utility industry or they're wanting to go into that industry. So just want to give, to also add a little bit of background here because we talked about the franchise fee, we talked about it being raised about a year ago from 3% to 4%. And there's actually a backstory to that. And the backstory to that is the advanced meters. Advanced meters work wonderful when you have already an electrified system, and they can be used to really turn down lights, turn off lights in a building that's empty, really reduce energy use, and they can work, and they're meant to work that way. When you have a system that is not completely electrified, and you're pushing a smart meter because these are very, very expensive meters. We did like minimum, estimate, and it will cost the city, us, at the very, very least $100 million. And that's at the very least. More than likely now, with everything going on, that price will be triple, quadruple, who knows how much these are going to be, okay? So they had to do a lot of work within the city because we had a law protecting us from these advanced meters. They had to change the law in order for them to employ these smart meters. They got the law changed. We are now, I think that's why JP Morgan is interested in us, because not only will they end up charging us a lot for meters, but these meters have the ability to, every little bit of energy, they can charge you. Anytime you turn on your hair dryer, any little increase, boom, another little penny here, another little penny there, and before you know it, you've got a few $1 billion come in, okay? So they have been working behind the scenes, doing this, giving out a lot of misinformation, when we try to get the information to the city council, whether it be about the smart meters or anything else, basically, we were told we didn't know what we were talking about. That part is frustrating. Any questions?
So, when JP Morgan or that's trying to do you think that the actor would like to do as far as the requirement, or they just go in there and that's the fact that that they're financially
Oh, no, they do a very pretty presentation, and we went to it, and it was a very pretty presentation. They even had a company, they have another company that they own that is doing solar in other places. Not that they're going to do any solar here, and they have to verify that. But they painted a very pretty picture that yes, people are going to keep their jobs, it's going to be more money for the community, but again, this is money that's going to be leaving our community, not staying here.
So yeah, so when they come in here, they kind of step to what we're talking about, which is the $4.3 billion. Where did that number come from? That's what we want to know. What valuation system did they use to quantify all the worth of El Paso Electric into this $4.3 billion? And that's not something that they present. $4.3 billion is not the price of El Paso Electric. It's the price you pay for El Paso Electric and to monopolize this region as the only enterprise. And as Blanca said, they have already these systems of smart meters that they can charge you for any little thing at an exponential rate to again make money. And it also says another just talking we have, and Luis touched on earlier, they are also beginning so JP Morgan has a record. This is not their first time entering this business, not their first time competing like this. And they have a record of having over $400 or $38 billion in fines for all their crimes related to manipulating energy markets. In recent years, in 2013, they were charged $410 million for manipulating markets in California and Michigan. So they already have a strong record in doing this, and that's what they're doing in here. And so that is important to understand because we believe that they're already planning to manipulate the market well. There's already documentation. They took a bus tour to the Permian Basin. They already have an affiliation with a company there. They already give financial advice, as we said, about how great those businesses are doing. They are going to, the reason they're to the Permian Basin is that because fracking uses a lot of electricity. And that Permian Basin is in the surface area of El Paso Electric. So they're going to be making money by fracking, which is a horrible environmental process that uses a lot of water and a lot of electricity. And they're going to be able to make a lot of money while providing electricity for a business that they're also making. So we believe they're already manipulating the market now and trying to make sure that they stand to benefit those.
Yes, this is the last meeting I was asking the article. I was referencing earlier is that JP Morgan in different law has top tax cut stock picks. And one of them is natural resources that company uses for the fracking industry. So they suggest that. They suggest Southwest Airlines, which is another energy giant. Mayapan Petro, which you guys know is hot West Oregon. So that's another industry that they're promoting. And that's how there are other tenants.
For sure. And you're next.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know when what is real here. She doesn't know what fracking is.
Yeah, so hydrofracking, it's this process of extracting natural gas from deep within the ground. And they basically are drilling a hole and using all this water to sort of funnel it out. And in that process, they pollute lots and lots of water, produces lots of methane, which is like one of the worst air pollutants. And again, it uses a financing the climate crisis. They're monopolizing their energy utility, using it to make money off of it, and do that, and it's just sort of this back and forth while we get the shortest end of that stick, right? So that's what fracking is. It's a lot more to it, but for
faucet in their house, and they can light a match and it explodes because gas is coming with their water. So fracking stands for hydraulic fracturing. Well, it's not so cool, but it's good to know.
And also causes earthquakes.
Yes.
yes, exactly.
Oklahoma fracking.
Yes.
Look up Oklahoma fracking.
Marisa can answer that question.
Sorry, I'm like, so actually, they use a ton of water. Like, it is unfeasible how much water they need for just one well. And most of these fracking fields have tons and tons and tons of wells, and you can frack one specific area multiple times. So it is insane amounts of water, and they mix it with the chemicals. And so one of the problems with fracking is that there's a lot of wastewater that comes as a result because they're using so much water. So basically what they do is that some of it just so much that they do have to take some of it just away trucks. But there's too much to do that with all of it. So what they do is they actually create open wastewater pits, and it's basically just a hole that they make in the ground. There's really not even a tarp or anything. It's just directly into the earth. It's just basically a big hole. So they put all of this wastewater in this hole, and they literally just mist it off into the air. So that creates a lot of air pollution, and there is already a lot of pollution that just comes off of these fracking wells. Like they're emitting methane and also VOCs, which is volatile organic compounds that causes all sorts of issues in humans and animals 24/7. So there's a huge amount of air pollution. Water pollution includes local groundwater, local aquifers, things like that. It pretty much causes any sort of pollution you could imagine. So it's just one of the most problematic fossil fuels there is, period.
Exactly, and it's the exact opposite direction we should be heading, right? We should be going towards renewables. If they really have committed towards renewable energies in the region, they would not be looking to make profits in the Permian Basin. Yes.
And El Paso Electric is looking to build another gas power plant
Here in El Paso,
here in El Paso.
in the north.
Plan to do that by 2022. Yeah.
So this is the trajectory that we have been on. Sunrise is coming in at a point where this is an acquisition, right? It's going to get even worse. And if we already didn't have help with our electric company now, we're going to have it further down the line. And that's just our financial argument. Do you know how hard it is for an environmental group to lead with a financial argument, right? All we want to talk about is the environment, right? And that's all we should be talking about because it's such a big price of everything, right? So even if you didn't believe in climate change, and if you were one of those people, by the financial argument alone, we are being scammed. We are getting the shortest end of the stick. But let's dive into the climate injustice and our climate argument. JP Morgan is one of the top financiers of fossil fuels industry. They're the sixth richest bank in the world, and they're going to continue to do that. And that kind of answers your question as to what do we continue to lobby, or how do we really win against somebody like this, right? How do we really bring about change? We're going to keep going into the agenda, but we're almost there. And then environmental justice. We all here in El Paso are at the forefront of so much of the impacts of climate change. Our immigration influx that we're seeing right now, and all the people coming to our borders fleeing their countries, that is connected to climate change and climate justice. And we're at the forefront of that as well. And we need to intersect these causes and understand that when we fight for environmental justice, we're fighting for immigrant rights. The same thing with women's rights. Same things for all of our vulnerable brothers and sisters. We have tracing our injustices to climate solutions. And as we said earlier, going from a publicly traded utility company to a privately owned and run utility company. So that means less accountability if we had it to begin with, right? And so that's what we're up against, and now that's what we're fighting. And our climate justice has to be at the forefront of everything we do, and that's why we're having these alternative meetings, right? Sunrise El Paso was able to force IIF and El Paso Electric to have public meetings. They had 2 public meetings, not on their own request, but because we forced them to, right? And when they did, the first meeting we had a couple members go to, and the only way you can participate in that meeting was to write a question onto a note card and give it to the moderator. And she would synthesize what she thought your question was and ask it if it related to somebody else's. And we were really outraged by that because that is not a public meeting at all. To us, that is actually a form of, it's an active disinformation campaign, and they are using us as pawns to manufacture consent. So they can say, oh look, we had a public meeting. Look, everybody was there and answered questions. So we made sure to go to that second meeting and perform civil disobedience so that they know we are not okay with this. And we will not stand by and be used as pawns to manufacture consent. We will actively counteract their disinformation with truth and facts. And that's why we had these alternative community meetings. Because we wanted to demonstrate what public discourse and what public conversation actually looks like. To actually context this issue, not with people who stand to benefit from the sale, but from people who have spent their lives and their time fighting so we can fight what we are now today. And so that kind of goes down to like our next thing, which is the causes, right? Well, we talked about the problems and our financial argument, our climate argument, and now we're talking about what is the cause of this BS. So the 2 causes that we see, we have to kind of categorize it, is bad actors. And a dark process. Okay, so bad actors, what do I mean by that? I mean that when the city council votes for their media extension and somebody does not show up to represent us in Austin, that is bad actor. That's somebody who is deliberately not performing the duties, and it really can be narrowed down to 2 people. The city manager, who is an unelected person who's supposed to act as an administrative role and say, okay, this is what council works, so we manage the city administration so that we kind of fulfill our obligation. But he has been acting as a gatekeeper of innovation. And we were asking for a feasibility study. The best thing they could give us was a feasibility study about a feasibility study. Basically, how feasible the feasibility study. If they were saying it's too much, we can't afford it. And we find that as them not acting in the best interest of the public, but gatekeepers for whatever purposes. The other bad actor we have is the city attorney. And when we were meeting we met with city council members, we met with every single one as an individual, and the city attorney joined us at one of those meetings. And yeah, we didn't meet with Claudia. Only we didn't meet with Representative Claudia of District 6. But we met with the city attorney, and we had to give her information about a Texas law that states that the city has authority to use eminent domain or condemning the assets of an electric utility to get ownership to whatever they see fit. We had to let her know that this law existed. And if she went back and processed it and told us that it's only half applicable, then it's only half true. Which, if any of you all know anything about doing anything, you would be like, that's not the case, right? They are happy to use eminent domain and getting people's homes when it's about a stadium in a neighborhood, or when it's about condemning the assets and using eminent domain against an electric utility to the benefit of the people, critics. And so that's what I mean by that, okay? People who act not in the best interest of our people. The other thing is a dark process. nothing more like sort of shaking to your board to realize just how much of a process this is happening in the dark, how much nobody really knows, how much they're shoving it down our throats, and who is creating this timeline, right? Again, the people negotiating on behalf of the city are these two people. Just was it yesterday? We met with city council before, and we asked them who gave these two people the authority to negotiate on behalf of the city, and they didn't know. They said they asked, and we didn't get an answer. So that's just kind of just insight as to how dark this process is and how bad of these actors are.
If you need to add, the mayor,
Oh, no.
Margo, I'm creating the, I think, in my opinion, there's structure in place.
Absolutely, absolutely. And these are the people. The only elected person is the mayor. Nobody else is elected. And when we asked what they were doing to hold them accountable, it was basically just a slap on the wrist. All they can do is file a complaint for their next review of their job. And ignored it.
So, the city manager is the attorney general, they're appointed,
I believe so, yes.
and they're appointed by the mayor?
They're appointed by council, I believe. I'm not too sure the process, but I'm not going to
They apply for the position, and the city council votes on hiring them and the contract terms written to those.
Yeah, so that's how they come to power, and that's how they act. Yes.
So in other words, they look for one.
Yes, they do. Exactly.
But the rest of the city council, they all voted for to elect those members.
And yes, that's what we see as this cause. The reason why we have these problems and that it's such an obviously bad financial deal, it's such an obvious bad deal for the climate, especially considering we have the city of America. We have some of the 90 days of sun and only use less than 3% of solar is produced by the solar.
297, or at least 297 days of
297
solid
days
sun.
of sun. And the thing is, like, when we come to these meetings and we have these conversations, it's very obvious that people understand this. It's very obvious that we see the potential of solar energy in El Paso. We are continuously lied to, we're continuously misled, and we're given these breadcrumbs that we're supposed to celebrate over. We're given these big old carrot in front of our face, and when we reach front to bite it, we just pull it a little bit further back. And yes,
Well, I was just going to connect some dots into that. The city manager, Tommy Gonzalez, he gets paid $300,000 a year to basically, handle our budget. He was actually given a severance from the city of Lubbock. He's from Lubbock. He was their city manager, and he was paid like about $400,000 to leave Lubbock. So they told him, we don't want you as our city manager anymore. Here's the severance pay, leave. So he left and he went to Irving, Texas. He became their city manager. Irving, Texas is actually the headquarters of Chevron. Or ExxonMobil. So he's extremely, he has his pockets full with these people's money. He has a long history of being, in deals involving these people. So the sale of El Paso Electric, keeping El Paso Electric fossil fuel dependent, it's clearly, in his best interest. He is in cahoots with the governor, he's in cahoots with all of these big fossil fuel people. And so it just really puts things together of like, of course they're going to stand in front of the people of El Paso and say that this is the best that we can do.
Well, I wanted Andrew to let everybody know that part of it. And also, it's worth mentioning that El Paso is the #1 city in the United States for solar potential. #1, and it's the 10th sunniest city in the world. And the oldest local solar energy organization in the United States, started in 1978, was the El Paso Solar Energy Association. And it was the longest continuously operating association. And about 11 years ago, I was vice president. I had been on the board of directors. And we don't exactly know what happened, how El Paso Electric destroyed our organization, but they hijacked the domain name. I can tell people about some of the stories about how they took over our board of directors. But about a little bit more than a decade ago, they destroyed our local solar energy association. And this is kind of just in a few years prior to the story that Blanca and Robert are talking about, just before that phase. So El Paso Solar Energy Association had been fighting El Paso Electric for over 30 years to do something about solar energy, because we're the #1 city for solar potential. And so it's important to understand that long before JP Morgan came into this, El Paso Electric has been a bad actor and has had a dark process. And of course, if you look at the cause, you could call it a dark process, or you could have a third thing besides bad actors and dark process. You have a very pathological, unhealthy context of 160 years of the oligarchy controlling the politics in the world. The oil industry has controlled world politics since Rockefeller back in the 1800s. So there is and of course Texas is the center point of the American oligarchy. The state we live in is run by the oil and gas industry. And that Public Utility Commission is just one facet of that. So we are in a context, all of this is happening within that Texas context. And the El Paso stuff, we've got this Republican mayor who is buddy-buddy with George Bush, who is, of course, another tentacle of the Texas oil industry. So all these things are related, and it's important that we all learn about it and strategize what we're going to do about it.
Context absolutely matters.
So, I don't want everybody to get depressed about the current situation. I look around here, I see a lot of young faces. I see people who are really interested in doing something for their community, doing something to preserve what little water we have left in our community, doing something for our environment, slowing down the fracking that's causing all of the pollution. And I gotta add, we were at a place back in FCA, El Paso Solar Energy Association, stopped being, where there was very little solar in this community. Right now, as of this point, there's about 45 megawatts of distributed solar energy in our community. That's over 8,000 homes with solar on them. And it's because of activism, it's because of people who've been persistent in resisting this utility's efforts to slow us down. And I urge you all, if you don't do anything else, go to city council, make your voices heard. It's worked for us several times around, but we just have to keep up the pace.
That's a perfect segue. Yes. I think there's a good segue to what we're going to do in our final kind of portion of it, this solution. And this is where we kind of want to, we can real quickly just, those of us here in front, turn the chair around that we can help each other and try to have as best of a conversation as possible. Because we've got to